Carry On Only, dedicated to inspiring your next global adventure. And now, here's your host and personal guide, award-winning photographer, creative director, and travel expert, taking you around the world in style, Jill Pater.
I'm your host, Kevin, with my colleague, Sam. Sam, how's it going today?
It's a great day to have a great day.
Awesome. We are here for our podcast, Travel in Style, brought to you by Cowpack. We are here, as always, with our travel expert, Jill Pater. How's it going, Jill?
It's going well, thanks.
Awesome. Today, you will be taking us to the north coast of the Dominican Republic. Excited for that.
I'm very excited too.
Sam, you're excited for all the places.
It's because I have never been to any of them.
I've never gone anywhere.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, Jill. So why the Dominican Republic?
Well, first, I have a disclaimer. My sister lives there, so
there you go.
That's as good of reason.
Part of the reason why.
Yeah, can't get a better reason than that. But I was introduced to the DR. I was there for a family wedding probably 5 years ago, and my sister decided to stay on and eventually live there. She moved from Los Angeles to Cabarete, which is on the
from that wedding.
Yes,
she was like, "Oh." Yes. Okay, so
she stayed.
I want to live here now.
Right.
She stayed a little longer and decided to travel. The wedding was in Punta Cana, which is south, and so she decided to travel to the north coast, and she just decided to live there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What does she do?
She came back. She's a writer.
Oh wow,
she's a writer.
Incredible.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, so that's what you went. You went for a wedding first.
I went for a wedding first, which was in Punta Cana, and then I've been back multiple times to visit her in Cabarete, which is on the north coast.
Do you have a favorite city or part of the Dominican?
That is by far my favorite. The north coast is gorgeous. It's actually my favorite part of the Caribbean in general. There's something about the DR. It's very friendly, and it's very... there's not this distance between expats and locals, between tourists and locals. Like people are much more integrated than other parts of the Caribbean, and that's something that I love about it.
I think that's great to know because for me, having never been to the Caribbean, when I think of the Caribbean, all I think of is just beautiful water, but there's all these little islands and places to go. So knowing that the Dominican is, top on your list is good to know.
Making it easy for you, Kevin.
Enticing. Right. So, how long do you recommend staying there? Since you've gone back so many times, how long do you recommend?
I would say at least, it's one of those places. So Cabarete it's the kiteboarding and windsurfing capital of the world. So they get a lot of expats from all over the world going to do that. But it's also just, in its own right, one of the most beautiful beaches. And it's weird. Normally I'm not like a long-term beach person. If I go on a beach holiday, it's like 3 or 4 days tops. But there's something different about the north coast of the DR. Like once you get there, it kind of sucks you in. So I would say, minimum a week, but ideally 10 days to 2 weeks. And if you can stay longer, if you have a flexible job where you can work from there, then I would go all in at a month.
Yeah. Is it the beaches or like what in particular, keeps you on what is sucking you in?
It's the beaches, it's the rum, it's the late night karaoke.
Good place to have fun.
Right.
It is. Now you meet a lot of people. There are a lot of expats that live there. A lot of people traveling in and out of there, and it's a place where people go back to. So you kind of go back and you see familiar faces.
So
and
it
people
sounds
are very
like you
familiar.
would go back regardless of your sister living there.
She definitely she's definitely a big impetus, but yeah, I would definitely go back there.
That's great.
And it's a relatively easy place to travel to. So from the West Coast, you fly usually to New York, and then it's a direct flight from New York. There's direct flights from Toronto, from Montreal, and it's only 3.5 hours.
Is that most cost effective to kind of fly that way?
Typically, flights from the West Coast, it's typically easier to fly to New York because we can red-eye to New York and then take the first flight down in the morning. Also, flights go through Houston and Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what time of the year do you usually visit your sister?
I usually visit around Christmas time.
Oh, nice.
So I would say the top season there is from late November to March.
Right. But what's the weather like during Christmas time?
Christmas time is
the Christmas time during in the Caribbean sounds amazing.
I just picture that Corona commercial.
It's
The palm
beautiful.
tree and lights on the...
Right.
So rainy season, hurricane season kind of ends, like I would say it's late October, but it's still pretty rainy November. So December, it's still kind of shoulder season there. It's not high season. So it's a beautiful time to go because it's not loaded with tourists, and you still have great weather. January, February, March, also beautiful weather, a little bit warmer, a lot less rain.
Yeah. That you actually just mentioned something that's brings a good question to my mind. So when you travel to all these different places, and because travel is so popular now on social media, and it's so much easier to show different places, do you find that tourism is up, like where you go, or I mean, I feel like because you travel so much, a lot of like the places off the beaten path. So do you not really experience, heavy tourism places, or is it just like crazy travel because you can basically go wherever you want now because you see everything now?
Yeah, I think, certain places have definitely get hit a lot more than others. With social media, people see places advertised so they feel more comfortable in the places that have been advertised most
It's
to
like
them.
validation.
Right, it's validation. And so, certainly like Europe gets beaten up during summer, like London, Paris, Italy, France, it's just jammed with tourists. I think finding places that are a little more nascent in their tourist industry but still really want tourists are the best places to go.
Did you do a lot of photography while you were there? And if so, like what were your favorite things to photograph?
In the Dominican, I didn't do as much. I did some architectural photography of a high-end hospitality resort. But for me, the DR is my vacation place.
Great.
And I don't take
That's
many
what
of
I was
those.
hoping.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we chose this place is to include that, because I would say 99.9% of the places I go, it's not for like pleasure.
Completely for pleasure, right.
Pleasure. I always have fun when I go there, of course,
Yeah.
but this one is pretty much primarily rest and relax. Although I do writing work while I'm there, and it's a great place to relax on the beach, and so I do get other things done, but I don't shoot a lot there.
It
How
sounds like
dare you just go for fun?
I know.
It's-
I don't. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong, but yeah.
No, but I mean, you just said your sister stayed there. She's a writer, and you do some writing there. It sounds like a very inspiring place, for you to come visit and just like turn off that part of you as far as photography and just relax and enjoy the scene.
Yes.
So that's great. That makes me feel like I need to go on some type of retreat.
Really, somewhere you can find the creative juices.
Right. I need to go to the Caribbean for that,
I think we need a work trip.
I think so. Right.
Sponsored trip.
It's also great too there because there's enough tourism where it makes it fun, to be there. There are restaurant options and things, but it's very non-commercialized in another sense. So it's also kind of a detox from that. It's a detox from fast living. Like you're staying usually on the beach or very, very close to the beach, and you're walking the beach every day. To get everywhere, you kind of walk along the beach. And it's just, there's a certain relaxation that comes from being there and not being inundated with things of the city and noises and
Hustle and bustle. Do you always do a lot of eating, and what's your favorite? What's your favorite? I'm like, so I need the works here.
Yes.
How's the food like, and do you always discover something new every time you go?
Yes. So the food, and that's one thing that's great about having my sister there. She's on
the
on
local,
the scene.
yeah.
But amazing. I am a huge seafood lover, and so the fish there is out of this world. There are all different types of restaurants, so it's not exclusively seafood. You have Italian restaurants, burger places, everything that you'd kind of want as a tourist. But I find the food there really, really good, particularly seafood and the Dominican local kind of favorite foods as well.
Do you find it difficult at all to travel within the country? Or is it easy to kind of get around from city to city?
It is. So the infrastructure in the DR, I wouldn't say is great in terms of road travel. So even things that would be a relatively seemingly small distance kind of take hours and hours. So to get from Cabarete, the north coast, to Santo Domingo, the capital, it's like an 8-hour drive, and the roads there are pretty rough. I mean,
so it's like LA traffic.
Yeah,
right. 8 hours. Right.
With bumpy roads.
Right.
So usually, people, it's actually easier to kind of fly to certain parts. Same thing with like Punta Cana. You wouldn't really go from the north coast down there driving normally. I mean, in theory you could, but it's not something you would do.
Yeah.
So smaller trips, like you can go up into the mountains, you can do hikes. There's lots of, different waterfalls and trekking things that you can do in and around the north coast that are shorter drives. But in terms of like actually mobilizing on the country around car, not something that I recommend.
Yeah. It sounds like you always are able to find something new that you love about it every time you go, not just because of your sister, but because, you're discovering something and then you just can't wait to go back. So how often do you visit her? Or do you visit in general?
So I've gone at least once a year and sometimes twice a year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And do you always go alone, or do you take the family with you and be like,
We
let's visit her?
That's a sensitive issue. No, we tried getting the family there. I'm not sure what their reticence is. I think they just think it's too far to travel.
I mean, it's a different country.
Yeah.
Still better than my family lives in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
So much better to go to the Dominican
yeah,
than
Right.
South Bend.
That's what I was thinking. No, now it just, I don't usually think of Dominican Republic when I think of the Caribbean. So now this, puts my mind in a different state as far as traveling over there. So are you, because it's the relaxing part of you and it's like mostly beaches, what kind of things do you pack that are specific to this trip to the DR?
So this is like one of my easiest packing places, I would say, because
bathing
it's
suits
bathing
and
suit. Yeah, I mean this is
flip-flops.
like what carry-on only is made for, right? And especially if you have access, if you're staying, say, at a Airbnb or an apartment rental or something, and you have access to laundry or a hotel with laundry service. I mean, it's really just like you need multiple swimsuits or bathing wear, beach cover-ups, and then just very, very casual. And so you never need like really dress-up clothes. People only really wear flip-flops. You never wear heels anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I mean, this is like the one pair of shoes. All you need is really one pair of shoes and just beachwear is essentially it for this trip, and sunscreen and a hat.
Yep.
So for somebody that's never been to the Dominican, is there a few things that you like are go-tos, like things that you would recommend? Is it certain restaurants or different cuisine or places to go, nightlife? Is there anything you'd recommend for sure?
Well, yes, and the great thing about the North Coast, in particular Cabarete, is it's quite small. It's pretty compact, and so there's nothing. It's not like you have a big checklist of things that you have to do. I mean, you're pretty much at the beach. You're probably going to do some type of beach sport, whether it's you give kiteboarding a try or windsurfing. All the beach bars, all the restaurants are kind of along the same stretch, so it's really easy. It's not like you have to go out of your way to find anything. But I would definitely say trying the local food, the fish, the rum. Going out
rum.
like
She had me at
Dominican,
rum.
yeah,
Right.
rum cocktails, Dominican nightlife. It's funny there; they have like happy hour 3 times a day.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
My goodness, yes.
like
So it's
happy
3
day.
meals a day. They just
Yeah.
have 3 happy hours.
They
a
have
day.
3 different happy hours a day. So I think part of it is just that it's like going there to relax. There's also great little trips you can do, like waterfall hikes.
Okay.
Canyoning and things like that outside of that. If you're into more adventure travel, you can, do biking, and there's just whatever you want, it can be kind of curated for you.
Are there any safety concerns in the Dominican?
There are, but not really so much in that area. I mean, it's what I would say for everything is just,
Just be cautious.
Be
Just
cautious
beware.
at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think driving, I always say driving anywhere where you don't know where you're going, at night and stuff can be a bit dangerous, especially on like the darker roads there. They're not well lit. And if you're driving between cities, it's just a bit less comfortable. But not really there. It's the Dominican Republic is relatively safe, particularly in that area.
Amazing. You mentioned nightlife, and I'm always wondering about that, going from, doing the sightseeing during the daytime, but what's your favorite thing to do at nighttime in the DR?
The discoteca?
The discotheque, yeah. Well, it's funny. It's like the same stretch of like restaurants and bars. And so it's really just, relaxing by the beach. The
Okay.
evening bars are there. There's usually a couple of places with live music. There's karaoke nights. There's poker nights. There's a little something every night, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like over the top. Like
It's not like this party town.
It is, it does. It's pretty lively, and there's dancing all night if you want to, if you want to do that.
That was,
Yes,
that's
yeah.
what you're looking
There
for.
is the
Right,
discotheque.
I was
yeah,
waiting. I
it's
was like, the
there.
discotheque.
Yeah,
You 24-hour
The disco-
dancing.
Yeah, that's definitely there.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, because it's like the 3 times a day happy hour.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine
dance.
anybody would be dancing in between.
They go hand in hand.
Right.
Are there any challenges to not just getting to the Dominican, but, and this probably can be a question for all your travels, but like with currency exchange or anything like that, like is there anything, in specific as it relates to the Dominican, but that you just kind of find challenging?
I would say, I mean, with the Dominican, because in this particular part, it's a pretty small town. So like if you're looking for, like you want very specific goods, it's hard to find that. I mean, there are grocery stores and things, of course, but like if you need like a specific type of something, that you're probably not going to find it there so much. I would say in terms of like travelers that it definitely appeals to, I would say kind of, young people who are a little bit more relaxed in their travel style. I think if you're somebody who only stays at like the Four Seasons and you want a very, very structured travel environment, then this probably isn't the first place I would pick for that. Although there are places that do cater to that type as well in the DR. But this particular coast it's a little more people who I would say a little bit more freer, want to relax, have a good time, aren't like overly concerned with needing to be at the highest end hospitality places, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds, because I feel like people might get intimidated if they're just not knowing, certain places around the DR. And so that's good to know from millennials.
Yes. Are you a fan of like all-inclusive places?
No.
Or, yeah.
No. Because you want to get out. You want to go.
You want to be able to
I mean,
experience
there's a time and place for everything. I mean, and all-inclusives are great for certainly people that are traveling with kids, or if you're traveling with like extended family and you have to cater a bunch of different types. But for me, I would never stay at an all-inclusive like by myself traveling, just because
It
I like to
limits
go
you.
out. And for me, like food's a big part of the trip. So like going to different restaurants, trying different things, it just kind of limits you. But for certain types of vacations, they make absolute sense. And all-inclusives do have kind of a bad reputation, but that's changing. There are some, very high-end, nice ones as well. And it does make sense for certain places and certain types of travel, but it's not so much my jam.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the all-inclusives. They're like, stay here.
Do not leave.
Yeah,
Yes.
they scare you of the outside world.
They do.
And so it prevents you from going out and adventuring and seeing the nightlife, the
The rum
24-hour
and
dancing, right?
The 3 happy hours.
The enticing stuff.
Was there anything that just, really surprised you or took you aback about the Dominican?
I think the biggest thing that surprised me was just how much time I'd spent there. Because as I mentioned, I'm not like I love the beach and love looking at it and stuff, but I'm not like somebody who likes to like just hang out
Just
at the
lay
beach.
out, right? all
And I
day.
was surprised like how much I just enjoyed being there and how long I wanted to be there. Normally a beach trip is kind of would be
Yes.
something I plan for shorter. And there, the fact that I love going back and there's definitely a strong community there, and so you get to know people, locals and expats that live there. You have all your favorite restaurants and things, and so it's almost like a second home, and it feels that way the first time you're there.
Well, and that's probably why your sister made it her
Yes,
Permanent home.
yes.
permanent home.
So if I wanted to go there, if I wanted a vacation,
Yeah.
you got the hookup, right?
I do.
You got some
Yeah. You
connects?
can. I got some connects.
Good to know.
That's really great. So as always, we do receive a lot of questions from our listeners about packing. So now for Jill's packing hack. What
Want a
is?
drum roll? Make a drum roll
I
for
think
you.
that's what I needed. A drum roll. What's a packing hack that you have for your clothing? Because I'm throwing my stuff in there, and then I'm like literally pushing my carry-on
Sitting
down.
on it
Yes.
to get it to
Yeah.
close.
Yes.
Exactly.
I do the sit on quite a bit with my carry-on to get it to close. I won't
Whatever
lie.
it takes.
Right.
But I'm a big fan, and there are different schools of thought on this, but I'm a big fan of rolling versus folding. I think you get a lot more in the bag that way, and just kind of, it also helps you as you're laying things out to pack. It just kind of helps you see the density of that item before you pack it, and you can kind of see it rolled up and say, is this worth that much real estate in my luggage?
It's very true.
So I roll, and I feel like I get a lot more in that way.
I feel like too, the item becomes less wrinkled for
Yes.
some reason when you roll. I don't know if you feel that way.
Definitely.
I don't always roll my stuff.
What do you-
Sometimes I just kind of slap it in, so I might not be the best person to take advice from.
Right, but those packing cubes, rolling it and then
Right.
putting in to Calpac packing cubes, I think is changed my life.
It
Yes.
helps. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jill, thank you so much again for sharing your Dominican adventures with us.
Carry on only.
Thanks for listening to Carry On Only, dedicated to inspiring your next global adventure. Listen to Jill take you around the world in style, live every week right here or 24/7 on demand at starworldwidenetworks.com. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. For immediate access to Jill's destination guides, blog, and show notes, please visit jillpater.com and follow her on Instagram at Jill Pater.